Hey there, Rick Sage, recording at the Rimrock Studios in Bishop, California. Welcome to Season 2 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, where I speak with retailers, brand managers, athletes, executives, and others in the outdoor biz and share their stories, tips, advice, productivity tricks, and ideas you can use to take your career or business to the next level. Today's episode is brought to you in part by the Something About Nothing podcast. Think the Seinfeld show meets your favorite morning show. It's a few regular folks from outside Seattle, Washington, talking around the table about sports, the news of the day, and the absurdity of life. Something About Nothing is an entertaining variety show that covers all the stuff you want to talk about but aren't supposed to. Available wherever you listen to podcasts, including Spotify. Check it out today. Just search SOMETHIN about NOTHIN. You won't believe how fun listening to a show about nothing can be. I'm excited to have Adam Buchanan on the show today. Adam talks about his 67 camper rebuild project, his passion for the outdoors, some of his experiences with Backcountry.com, Cabelas, Wasatch Touring, and he tells us about his business and how you can work with him. Enjoy. Adam, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Rick. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to have you on. So the first thing I want to hear about is your 67 camper. What's that? That sounds like a pretty cool project.
So last fall, my wife tells me, she's like, I really want to redo an old camper. And I'm like, all right, what are we getting into, And we find this old 1967, it's called a travel jet, made out of Salt Lake City, Utah.
Cool.
And so we brought it home, and after a few days, I was just ready to give up. It was a way bigger project than I'd realized. And that's what I'm sitting in right now, interviewing with you. And
nice.
Anyway, we redid it, and we painted the outside a really cool turquoise color. And then we painted the inside all white and did some fun decorations, got new upholstery.
Sweet.
My wife is awesome. She's a machine. She really did a great job, and I did my best to not smash my thumb. So,
is it a travel trailer or a camper on the back of a truck?
It's a hard side travel camper,
Gotcha.
That we tow. It's
Okay,
about 18 feet long and
Yep.
lots of fun.
Yeah. So did you have to basically gut the inside down to the flooring and everything, or was it that big a project?
It wasn't too bad. We just kind of had to work on appliances, work on electric, but we did need to redo the floor. We needed to kind of redo the paint on the inside, and so we didn't go down to studs or anything, but it was a level 10 on the marriage project scale.
Wow. Okay.
It was intense, but we've grown closer, and it's been awesome.
Yeah, and you said you have 4 kids. I bet they love it.
We take it out quite a bit. We're going to be really taking it out a lot this year, seeing a lot of national parks, a lot of great things here in Utah. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. So tell us where your outdoor inspiration comes from. You said I think I read you grew up in Utah, New Mexico.
Oh, yeah. I grew up in New Mexico. We were a pretty active outdoor family, did a lot of skiing, a lot of hiking. I actually used to compete in competitive skiing.
Oh, okay.
And it was kind of leading up to the 2002 Salt Lake Olympics. And so there's a lot of scouts at a lot of competitions, and there was some kind of discussion around that, but I was like, I just kind of want to get back into it for fun and not compete. And so we were just always out there. And my big thing was I always wanted to get into mountain climbing and climb Mount Everest one day. That was my big goal.
Yeah. That's a big goal.
For my senior trip, I drove myself to Mount Rainier with 11 other strangers and did Mount Rainier, and it was a lot of fun and learned a lot, and just, but start having kids and things. I'm kind of like, I don't know if the crazy high altitude peaks are for me. So.
Yeah, I climbed Mount Rainier with the JanSport. JanSport does a climb every year, and man, that was one of the hardest things I've ever done. That was unbelievable. Fun and had a blast, but man, it was tough.
It is, absolutely, but very memorable, and glad I did it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool. So did you have a traditional outdoor job? Did you work retail or guiding or any of that kind of thing?
I went to school in the University of Utah, and I actually worked at a shop. It's called Wasatch Touring.
Oh, yeah, I know it well. Yeah.
Yes, and a lot of people do, actually. They do a really good job.
Yeah, they do a great job.
So there I kind of learned, service and how to work on bikes and how to work on skis. And then from there went and did work at backcountry.com. And I actually started in the warehouse fulfilling orders.
Wow.
And moved around a little bit, answered calls, that type of thing. And yeah, that's kind of what got me really intrigued for a long-term career.
That's what solidified your desire to work in the biz, huh?
For sure. And it got me excited. I really enjoyed the e-com side of, e-com had been around for a while back then, but it was really growing and social media hadn't come out yet. And so it was this kind of exciting time of, I can buy something and it'll arrive at my doorstep in 2 or 3 days.
Right.
I mean, that was exciting. I mean, this was before Amazon Prime, and it was just, Backcountry had done a really good job of shipping out same day. And so it just really intrigued me.
Backcountry did a good job too of they didn't pioneer some of the things that Amazon do today, but they really did a great job of setting up those online services, right? So you knew what to expect and your product showed up quickly. They did a great job at that.
And the expertise too. You could call somebody who actually uses the product, who's actually in the Wasatch Mountains,
right?
Right.
Or they called you.
Cool is that?
I remember a couple times ordering from them. They called me. Hey, saw you ordered this, that, the other. And I'm like, whoa, that was awesome. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have some great things going on now. You do a podcast. You do a lot of working with brands on social media marketing and stuff. You're a public speaker. Tell us about some of that. Tell us what it is to be Adam Buchanan.
Yeah. So to be Adam Buchanan, you have to wear red glasses, and they have to be very, very red.
Cool. Yeah, I saw that on your website. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had those. Gosh, I've had those for about 5 years now. It's funny. I'll be at a conference and people will see me like across the room, be like, "Oh, you're Adam."
That's like, great. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
They're still working. They're like a little homing beacon.
Good branding. Good branding.
And so I've been working with outdoor brands for over 10 years and just really helping them, excel and make their social media efforts more impactful. And really that's through sales and loyalty. And so I've spent a lot of time in social media, a lot of time in influencer marketing programs, and just really pioneered some of the ways that we work with influencers. And, it's not about transactions. It's not about how much can I pay somebody to say nice things about me. It's how can I build trust with people who may already know who I am or may already like my brand and really build strong relationships with them. So that's really what I preach and what I help brands with, and also help them with customer service on social media. That's absolutely critical right now. And it's just something that people cannot ignore. It's the new 800 number, and you've got to recognize that.
Right.
And then the podcast, I've been doing social media for a long time, and people are like, "Hey, you got to start a podcast about social media." And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot out there. There's a lot of information out there, and I just don't want to add to the noise. And so the podcast is called The Marketing Trust. And the reason why I called it that is because any company that I've worked with that is successful and doing a good job, it's not that they're good at social media, it's that they're good at trust. And so what I'm diving deep into is just kind of a deeper layer of a discussion of how do we infuse more trust with customers.
Right,
and that's what I talk about, and that's really what it's all about.
And how did you sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, how did you get exposed to that trust concept? I mean, I've heard, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. We've probably read a lot of the same books. Did you go to a seminar? Did you read some of those books? How did you figure all that out?
Really, it came down to, I was talking to Mark Schaefer one day. He wrote the book called Known, and really great author, just a good guy to follow. He's always pushing out great information. And we're talking, and he's like, what are you really excited about? Like, what is this next thing, this next chapter that you're heading into? And I said, there's 3 things that keep coming back to me is proximity, honesty, and expertise. And that's what I believe companies need to do to really grow their business and build trust. But, and we were just talking, and he's like, well, it sounds like, trust is kind of a big thing for you. And I'm like, yeah, trust is a big thing. That is
the central theme. Yeah,
absolutely. And So then I came up with the line, I think I have it on the podcast as well, is before every transaction, trust has to exist. It doesn't matter if you're buying a burrito at the gas station. It doesn't matter if you're buying a $300 vacuum on Amazon. You have some level of trust that if you're going to pay someone money, there is going to be something in return.
Right.
And I kind of blow that out under those 3 pillars that I just shared. So that's kind of where it came from. It came from a conversation with Mark Schaefer, really great guy.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. And you were about to mention your public speaking. So you speak to brands at sales meetings, and do you do seminars, workshops, that kind of thing too?
Yeah, I do workshops. I'm doing one actually up in Box Elder County, north of where I live, with some business. It's a business alliance. A lot of businesses are coming around to join. And that's all going to be about marketing trust, which I'm excited about. I was at IBM in Las Vegas at their Think 2018 event.
Oh, wow.
That was more of kind of a corresponder type, role where doing videos, doing interviews. I'm actually doing a recap webinar with them in a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then, speak to, various companies or organizations about how can they make their marketing efforts more impactful. And so, excited to do more. I'll be in South Carolina actually in July at a social media conference there. So it's kind of picking up. It's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy speaking. It's anytime I got to do it, it's like Christmas morning. I absolutely.
It's pretty fun,
speaking.
isn't it? Yeah, I like it too. Yeah, it's so many people are afraid of it, but it's pretty fun to get in front of an audience and just get them fired up. It's fun.
For sure. Yeah.
Have you spoke at Outdoor Retailer?
I have not. I've been to Outdoor Retailer for almost 12 years now,
mm-hmm.
and really enjoyed it. Great to connect with folks and see what the brands are up to. Yeah, have not spoken there. I would absolutely be up for it. Yeah,
that would be interesting. I did hosted a panel last winter show about the omni-channel, how to thrive in the age of Amazon. And it'd be great for you to get up there, because I think a lot of not only brands but retailers that are now doing more online business, growing their omni-channel strategy needs to hear that as well. So if you go this summer, we'll harangue somebody there and get you on the calendar for next winter. Yeah, that's great. And direct to consumer is really big too. A lot of people are really focused on that, and mm-hmm. it's how can I really build an audience, not just how can I build revenue. And I think that's kind of the essence of omni-channel is being able to build that out to have larger conversations with other retailers and brands. Yeah. Well, and you got to build the audience before you can build the revenue, right? If you got to get the group following you and trusting you, like you say, before you can start engaging them from a sales component.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, what do you love most about your role when you work with brands?
What I love is people kind of look at me as an extension of their marketing team, mm-hmm. and so I get to come in and obsess over their brand just as much as they do, but in kind of a different way, because they're very close to the brand. They're very, in a sense, they're kind of drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit. Right. And I get to come in and say, hey, let's look at this other data. Let's look at it in a different way. And I get to help them kind of see that light bulb go off, and they say, oh, there's all this other opportunity, because a lot of times brands are active in influencer marketing. They are active in their marketing content or social media, but they're just kind of hitting a slump, or the algorithm isn't going so well for them, or mm-hmm. whatever it might be. And so there's a lot of frustrating pain points for brands. Mm-hmm. And so I love coming in, being able to work with teams, really dive in deep and deliver them actionable things that they can do. And, a lot of times I can empathize with their teams too, because I've been on those front lines. Right. I've answered those, product recall questions and the crisis and all the issues that we go through. And so I've been there. I've built out these things before. And so I love coming in, really empathizing with their team and building something that can really help them grow. And I love waking up every day and doing what I love. It's the best.
Do you, are you connected to Facebook and Twitter and folks like that to get updates on when they shift their strategy and logarithms and make sure that you're on the cutting edge, or you just find it like everybody else finds it when it happens?
I work with a lot of partners too that, some specialize in paid ads and some specialize in, certain things. And so yeah, part of certain Facebook groups that I'm on and just networking, you know, I can get to it pretty quickly. Yeah.
Get some advance notice that, hey, this might be coming down the pipe. Be aware.
For sure. Yeah.
What are some of the most challenging things in working with these brands?
I think the most challenging is they think they need to chase technology. And so with your question of how do I get ahead of this stuff? Really how you get ahead of it is start to shift a little bit more effort around building your own community. So really it's building out your email list. You know, I'm surprised that some people kind of brush that off like, oh, it's just email. It's fine. We don't really need to do much there. And it's like, no, that's critical. Like
it has a bigger ROI on selling stuff to people than anything else. It's huge.
Yeah, that's going to have way better sales rate than you know, something on Facebook, and going to be costing a lot less. Going to be a lot more cost effective. And so that's something I really try to help people with, because a lot of people are saying like, oh, hey, there's this new social media channel, this new social network. Do we need to be on it? You know, what do we need to do here? And I'm like, you know, let's really focus on doing the ones you have active now really well, because you're hitting walls with your Twitter strategy or Instagram. Let's revisit that first before we start to expand it to other places. I'd say that's the biggest challenge, is just there's so much stuff coming in quickly, but if you really just sit back and try to focus how you can be a better company, build a better product, communicate better with your audience, and give them something worth talking about, that's going to go a lot better than, you know, having a subpar product that's okay and trying to blast it out there. You know, we're at a point now where the product has to do its own marketing. It kind of has to speak for itself, and people who like your product will do the marketing for you. Yeah. That's really how people need to think.
Yeah, if they get behind it and they love it, then they'll share it, and then away you go. Yeah. How about a couple of accomplishments you're most proud of? The camper?
The camper is a big one. I feel like we added a new member to the family. I'm like, oh, I got to add you to my insurance.
I love it.
You know, one of my favorite things that I've ever worked on was I was working at Cabelas. I was there for a couple of years on the social media team, and we were humming along. We were doing a lot in social media, and it was June, and they're like, hey, we got to start thinking about Q4, which is very common for a retailer. You start Q4 planning very, very early in the year. Right. And I said, what if we did an undercover CEO video, and let's get our CEO involved, and Tommy Milner. And I said, let's get him during Christmas. We'll film it in like November, and then we'll distribute these episodes throughout December. And so it literally took like June 1st to like November 15th to get this thing happening. Wow. Yeah. And so we went into one of our Denver Cabelas stores. We had him come in. He dressed up like an outfitter, like an employee. And he looked like this new kind of, you know, timid employee, and he was walking around. And anyway, so what we did was we spotted families that were adding stuff to their shopping carts. And they get up to the shop, the checkout, and he would be there, and he said, hi, my name's Tommy. It's my first day, and I'm trying to, you know, learn how to do this. And I mean, Tommy's just so great. He's so great to work with.
That's cool.
And they're like, okay. And just as they pull out their credit card, he pulls out his, and he says, I have to tell you something. I'm actually the CEO of Cabelas, and today your shopping cart is on us.
Wow, very cool.
And we had hidden cameras everywhere, and
that's cool.
People were crying and they were laughing, and then we took them into a back room, and we said, hey, come back here. And we had all this other stuff to choose from. We had North Face jackets, we had GoPros. Healthy was a great partner. They had given us a lot of tents, and we made people's holidays so special. Yeah. And so that, you know, I'd say that's what I was most proud of. It was a lot of planning. It was a lot of work.
I can imagine.
But
the videos must have got a lot of attention too, right? You must have had a lot of traffic to the videos.
They did, yeah. And we didn't really, you know, we were very careful. You know, Cabelas is really good at promoting and putting a lot of ad dollars behind content. And for this one, we just made a call. We kind of went with our gut and said, we're not going to put ads behind this. It just doesn't feel right. We just need to let people stumble upon it. And what was really cool is the advocates of Cabelas, just the really long-term fans and customers, found these videos. We shared them, and they just kind of shared them for us. And I think that's all we kind of wanted. We didn't really want them to go viral per se. We just wanted the right people to see them. And
it was more organic reach. Yeah, it's probably had more powerful.
Yeah, and we just wanted to leave it at that. And so it was great. It was a fun.
That's very cool.
Project.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how about some mentors that have helped you along the way? I'm sure you've had a couple.
Absolutely. A big mentor that always comes to mind, I always talk about, is Kendall Card. He is the owner and co-founder of CamoFire.com. And they sell one deal at a time hunting deals. And Kendall is one of those individuals you meet, and he just brings you in, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like, you are an incredible individual. And he's a family man like me. So we always have a lot to talk about on the family side. He is super sharp with business, but he is just one of the most hardest workers I've ever met. And I interviewed him on my podcast, actually. And he talked about how early on in his journey of CamoFire and getting that off the ground, he said, we didn't have money. What we could do, though, was we had time. And so instead of really bootstrapping a lot of money, we bootstrapped time and trust. And I've always loved that. And we had that interview just a few months ago. And
cool. We'll link to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Episode 6 7. Sorry. Episode 7 with Kendall Card.
Cool.
Just a phenomenal guy. I love Kendall. He absolutely comes to mind. And the other one I'd say is Scott Trepanier. I worked with Scott Trepanier at Columbia Sportswear. He's currently the senior promotions and PR director, and he's actually moving to Europe. He's going to go live in Geneva, Sweden.
Wow.
With Columbia. He's making
fun.
A big move.
Yeah.
Scott is the most sharpest, smartest guy. I love Scott. He really helped me understand how to position a brand and how to really build that trust. And we built Columbia Sportswear's influencer program, Omni-10, together. And this was way, way back. And just the ideation and the thoughtfulness and the strategy, I'll never forget that. And Scott is one of the best in the business.
Cool. We'll link to him too. That's awesome. And how about some nonprofit? Do you work with any nonprofits, or you do any nonprofit work on the side?
Yeah, a little bit. Did a few projects with Leave No Trace, did some partnerships with them. Was able to join a few of they do hosted trails where they kind of take you along a trail and they do some cool educational stuff. So I love Leave No Trace, and also Conservation Alliance. Really appreciate what they do. Worked on multi-brand promotions with Conservation Alliance, where especially like an outdoor retailer, if you ever go and they're selling product for a really deep discount, and it all goes to Conservation Alliance. Really love those programs, and have worked with kind of multi-brands to help with that.
Yeah, cool. That's great. And how about outdoor activities? You guys camp. What activities do you do when you go camping? You mountain bike? You rock climb?
We go rock climbing.
Okay.
I grew up rock climbing in Moab, Utah. I would spend weeks at a time on Wall Street. If anyone knows Wall Street, just a phenomenal place. And I just I get emotional thinking about it, but I took my kids, who are now old enough to climb, to Wall Street, and they got to rock climb on the same ones that I did when I was a teenager.
Awesome.
And so it's just, it just kind of, life came full circle for me there. And so climbing is big. We also, we do a lot of hiking. I do a lot of road biking with my wife. I'm also a hunter. I've been trying to get into that a lot more in the recent years. And we also are big four-wheelers. We have a big Yamaha 6-seater, and we love four-wheeling, and just kind of opens up a whole new world a little bit. So, we kind of bop around a little bit. Yeah,
it sounds like you guys get out a lot. That's great. Do you have any suggestions or advice for folks that either want to get in the outdoor biz or grow their career if they're already in the biz?
I talk to a lot of college students, And a lot of people come to me and they're like, how do I get started? What do I do? And the advice that I always come back to is get your hands dirty as quick as possible. This isn't fancy. This isn't glamorous.
Right.
A lot of people think like, oh, you get to go public speaking and you get to work with influencers and how fun is your life. And what they don't see is the many years that I was up till 1 a.m., live chatting with customers on a Facebook page, or, up at 4 a.m. for, Fox and Friends in New York City, for, a PR thing or an interview, and, trying to capture all the listening data on Twitter of that PR plug, and just the coordination and all the planning. And so I always tell people, get your hands dirty as quick as possible. Try to get hands-on work. And if you can't get anyone to work with you, if a brand won't hire you or whatever, just go start your own thing. Go pick a passion that you feel really passionate about and add your voice to the industry. Yeah. And you see people like, oh my gosh, look at Katie Bouet. I know you've had her on your podcast. Right. Katie is the best example of someone who just kept pushing and going and just built her own brand. And now, brands love working with her, and she works with OIA, and now she's a huge advocate just for the industry and the outdoors as well. And that's an example of someone who just kept pushing and pushing and didn't wait for someone to say, well, just come and find me and I'll be over here, but just come find me and then I'll be ready to come out. She just kept pushing. And so that's what I tell people is put in the hours, put in the work.
Yeah, that's good advice. Yeah, just jump in because nobody's going to find you. You got to make it happen on your own. Yeah. And whether it's through retail or a brand or start your own thing, just get going. Yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah.
And how about daily routines to keep your sanity? Do you meditate? Obviously, you get a lot of exercise, it sounds like, and playing with the kids. That's, I'm sure, keeps you busy.
I do meditate. My business coach has said you got to have a really good morning routine. And so for the last few months, I've really focused on meditating. But one thing I struggle with is just kind of keeping attention when I meditate. I'm just my mind goes all these different places. I'm like, I think I'm the same. I think I'm doing this wrong. So I have a tip for those who are trying to meditate and do it. I have a Pendleton Woolen Mills made in Oregon, awesome blanket. And I wrap myself in that blanket. And what I do is I just hold myself in there, and it's so warm and it's so like thick that it kind of blocks everything out. And it's kind of like a literal shield.
Oh, interesting.
And it really helps block out kind of some of the noise of not the literal and figurative noise.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love, if you have a Pendleton blanket, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Cheers to
we'll
Pendleton.
link to that. Right, yeah.
They make the best stuff, and it's my national parks. I think it's the Crater Lake National Park blanket. And I wrap myself in that, and I just kind of try to meditate as long as I can, and that's kind of what I do there. And
yeah, that's one of the biggest challenges I have. The same thing. It's sometimes you just go, how do I shut the mind off? Just turn it off. Even in the morning, right? As soon as you wake up, bam, it's going a million miles an hour. Come on,
Totally.
It's tough. Yeah.
And then I also do probably 3 miles a day walking. There's this one thing, it's called running, and it's actually walking, but at a faster pace. And you move your feet at an accelerated rate. And some people have done that. It's called running. It's been around a little while. I don't do running so much.
Yeah.
I actually just ran a 5K with my son the other day, and
cool.
I am hurting.
Yeah,
I'm really struggling. I didn't think it would be that long. I was like, oh, this will be fine. So I do walking. I am a walker, and I'm proud of it, and that's what I do.
Yeah, so. I'm the same boat. I can't run anymore. I have bad knees, so walking is, you get very similar fitness out of walking if you walk fast.
Totally.
Yeah, that's good. And how about some of your favorite books? Do you give books as gifts in your business or personal life?
I do, and when I work with a brand and I kind of identify, certain challenges or questions they have, I kind of have just a library that I pick from, and I'll send them something. One that comes to mind, as we talk about distractions and really honing in and focusing, is Essentialism by Greg McKeown. Just a phenomenal book. It's all about really getting down to what's essential and saying no and being okay with that, and not adding more, but adding less.
I like it.
I really, really love that book. Another book that I'm really stoked on, I met author Stan Phelps. He is just a phenomenal dude. He wrote a book called Red Goldfish, and it's all about finding your purpose and why that's important. And the outdoor industry is a really good example of that. And he actually shares a lot of examples from companies like REI and, and Patagonia, of course. But Red Goldfish really offers a framework of finding your purpose. And I think that's really important because that's what's going to help people stand out, because, you know, consumers want to buy from people that have a purpose, not just who can be the loudest, who can be the funniest. It's not an attention game. It's a purpose game. And so I really am a fan of that one. And then a big shout out to Heather Bollock. Rochfort now. Heather Rochfort. Gosh, I use her maiden name. She's been married a while now. Heather Rochfort. She wrote a backpacking how-to book, and just, gosh, the work that she's done just in the industry and with that book, that's something outdoor specific that I'll share with people. It's just a good comprehensive look of all things, you know, how to get involved in the outdoors and how to do it if you're kind of new to it. And I love Heather. She's phenomenal. And her husband, Will. They're just a power couple.
Great. Well, we'll link to all those in the show notes. That's awesome. So you've spent a lot of time outdoors climbing. Now you have your camper. What's your favorite piece of outdoor gear under $100?
So I came up with two, and they equal to $100. So I kind of broke your rule.
That's okay. It's not a hard, fast rule.
Yeah. Okay. So my favorite all-time, like, tried and true piece of product is the MSR Hyperflow water filter.
Oh yeah. Okay. I've seen those. Yeah.
That thing is compact. It's phenomenal. And I grew up, you know, using the old Waterworks and the Mini Works, and a lot of moving parts, and they're you're just kind of like, I hope this thing works. I hope I can drink water on this trip.
Right.
But the MSR water Hyperflow, phenomenal piece. And I think it runs for like less than $70. And then my favorite outdoor piece of gear is actually, this is funny, it's my wedding ring, and it's made by Enzo Rings.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
And they're these silicone rings, and they're really popular. They've been out a while. But the thing I love about Enzo, and the reason why I bring them up, because there's a lot of brands out there, they really have a good purpose, and they are actually made in Utah. They're made in the USA.
Oh, cool.
And they use some of the highest quality materials that they can find. And so you pay, you know, a little bit more. I think I paid $40 for this ring.
Wow.
But it looks like copper. Uh-huh. And people say it all the time. They're like, that's a really cool ring. Oh, that's cool. And I'm like, well, actually it's rubber. And they're like, what? And, you know, so I work on my cars. I do my own oil changes, and I spin wrenches and work in the garage. And I wear this thing all the time. I'll never go back to metal. I'm done with metal. It's over. And so my two piece of gear is the Enzo ring, and
that's a Enzo deal at $40 too for a wedding ring. I mean, that's, yeah, cool. We'll link to both of those.
They were actually a client of mine last year, and I got to work with them on some influencer stuff, and they just do a good job.
Yeah, cool.
Enzo is a great brand.
Awesome. We'll link to all that in the show notes. Those are two great purchases. Anything else you'd like to say or ask to our listeners before we wrap up here?
I think, you know, the outdoor industry has just been really good to me and my family. And if I could say anything, it would just be, this is one of the greatest industries to be in. And I absolutely love it. I love who I get to work with. And it's an incredible community. And when you go to a conference or a meetup or whatever it might be, you just feel this warmth. And whether it's someone you've known for 20 years or someone that you just met for the first time, this is the warmest industry I've ever worked in, and I plan to stay for a very long time. I love what I do.
It's been a lot of fun. It's been good to me, that's for sure. And how can people find you if they want to follow up and ask you questions or, you know, learn from you, reach you on your website?
For sure, yeah. My website is adamcbuchanan.com. You can sign up for my email and get those in your inbox. And you can also send me a direct email, adam@adamcbuchanan.com. Twitter and Instagram is the same. It's Adam_Buchanan. And you can also check out my podcast at The Marketing Trust. It's on iTunes and Stitcher and all your favorite iTunes or podcasty places. So
there's a million of them these days.
That's right.
Yeah. Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
It's been great, Adam. Thanks for reaching out. I'm glad we connected. I look forward to meeting you in person at the next show.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rick.
Yeah. All right. Have a good afternoon.
Sure.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Adam Buchanan. You can catch up with Adam by email at adam@adambuchanan.com, his website, adambuchanan.com. That's BUCHANAN. And the Trust Marketing Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll find links to everything we discussed in the show notes at theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/episode 102. Be sure to hit your favorite podcast app and subscribe today. Thanks for listening. Today's podcast is brought to you by WordPress. I've used WordPress to build a number of websites, including Stillwater's Consulting and the Outdoor Biz Podcast. There are a number of themes and plugins available both free and for purchase, enabling you to easily create the custom look and feel you want. If you're starting an online business, publishing a blog, and looking to take your online presence to the next level, visit theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/WordPress and get going today. With simple installation tools and thousands of themes to choose from, you'll be up and running in no time. Go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/WordPress and get your site launched today. If you want more of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcast. Be sure and go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com where you'll find all the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. Thanks for listening, and until next time, be sure and make time to get outside.